Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I'm your host, JP John Paz. With me today is very special guest, former NWA National and Tag Team Champion, former four-time PNW Heavyweight Champion, five-time PMW Tag Team Champion, and an NWA Florida World Tag Team Champion, Mr. Hacksaw himself, Brett Sawyer. Brett, welcome to the two-man power trip.
Thank you very much. How you doing today?
Not too bad. Can't complain.
Yeah, that's the truth.
What's going on in your world? What have you been up to?
Oh, just relaxing and enjoying life. Yeah, just chilling for a while until the first of the year, then start training people.
Are you still doing the training?
I'm coming back in West Virginia. Going to do a half price deal. Starting January the 1st, 1,500 instead of $3,000. It's a lot easier to come up with. So, and it's a good deal. So, 6-month course. I've been training people for 30 years, so it's pretty easy. Once you get used to it. I remember when Steamboat and my brother was training me, I did that shit for 9 months, and I walked in one day and they had bags in each corner. And I looked at my brother Buzz. I was like, "What's that bag for?" He goes, "Well, you're getting a little too cocky, boy, and you're going to puke in that bag today." All of them. And I did. Yeah. Buzz was crazy.
Yeah, what was Buzz like? You always heard their reputation. He was a little crazy.
You know, he's a badass. He's a good guy. If he liked you, he'd give you the skin off his back. And if he didn't like you, you had problems. But he never looked for trouble. It just seemed to follow him. Had a big mouth, but he was proud of it. So am I. We got a long ways. And did a lot in life. He lived a short life. Oh, that's the sad part. So the fast lane ain't always the best lane. That's for sure.
With him, how was your relationship with him? Like, how'd you guys get along?
Oh, we were so great. Okay. Yeah, it was great. Me and my brother, he was my best friend. I knew everything he ever did in his entire life. We walked out of McDonald's one day. I had long hair and he was bald. And they were like, "Oh, look at that faggot with the long hair." And Buzz handed me his hamburger and a Whopper. And he just beat the shit out of 3 people and came back and got his Whopper and Coke, jumped in Trans Am and left. He's crazy. Yeah, he lived 10 lives in 32 years, but he's been dead for 32 years now. So, miss him a lot.
Yeah. You guys travel the world together. You guys are everywhere together.
Man, we loved it over there. Oh, man, they treated you like gold. And the money you made was unbelievable. Jesus, they paid better than anybody in the world. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yeah. It was the best. 5 weeks, and it was a breeze. They put you in the KO Plaza. The room's size of a 3-story house. It was unreal. Yeah, I love Japan. But just getting ready to I was going to retire, but I'm going to hang around another year. So just see how things go. This will be my last year for sure. 61. When I turn 62, I'm August 10th. I'm out of here. Yeah.
With Japan, do you remember who you wrestled over there? Like, do you remember wrestling Great Muta and
Inoki, Muta? Yeah, all those guys were over there. And me and Buzz always tagged. We're heels over in Japan. I was always a baby face in the States, but in Japan and Puerto Rico, I was a heel. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. The money was unbelievable, and they treated you like gold, and they took care of you. Japan, when you make it to Japan, out of 100% of pro wrestlers, only 20% ever see Japan. Believe me when I tell you, because if you don't have some kahunas, man, you're in for a rude awakening because they're stiff as hell. And you got to be stiff right back with them, because if you're not, they're just going to beat the shit out of you. So you get some buzz. He always would take him down and stretch him, but we got along good with him. They loved him, but could have been more good times, that's for sure. But you got to live life slow. Yeah.
How'd you guys get over there? Did like Buzz usually set everything up for you guys?
Yeah, he sure did. Didn't have to do a thing. Noki would always call him and tell him, give us our plane tickets, and tell us how long we were staying, and we could stay 3 weeks, 5 weeks, and sometimes we'd stay 6 weeks. It always varied, but yeah, he was a nice guy. He ran the place pretty much. Yeah, Noki, he was awesome. He still is. He's a very good athlete.
Yes. You ever see that great thing that he used to do where the people would come to the ring and he would slap him in the face?
Oh, he would?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There would be a line of people, like 100 people, and they would
thought they get smacked.
He would smack them in the face. Yeah, they thought that they were getting some fighting spirit from him, that he was transferring it over to them.
Oh, that's crazy as hell. Oh, my God. Really? That's amazing. That shocks me. But hey, you never know. I didn't know him that good. That's for sure. Yeah, it's about like that idiot Arn Anderson, man. That's one of the guys in pro. He's one of the only guy. Him and the Undertaker. There's only two guys I just love to get in the ring and shoot on. Like, forget an interview. Oh man. And Arn's got a mouth so big he don't know what to do with it. Always knocking dead people, and he ain't got a brain in his damn head. He's just a total idiot. I mean, he's making interviews. Oh, I'm not booked with Japan, and I'm not booked with WCW, so I can do what I want to do now. Oh, let all those people. And he's an idiot. He ain't worth my breath. I let him get to me. He's just stupid. Yeah.
What happened with Arn? What's the heat there?
He's just gets on and tell people he knocked my brother's tooth out, and my brother knocked that tooth out when he wrecked his Porsche. And Arn Anderson didn't. He just lies so much. And when they get on here, I don't ever knock nobody, but when they get on here and knock dead people, that hurts my ass to no end. And that just shows the tooth he's got. If somebody's going to talk about a dead person, they got problems, I think. I wouldn't knock a dead person. I don't know. I don't know. Somebody that can't talk for themselves is pretty bad, I think.
So that's where he stems from, the story with your brother?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time. But no big deal. He just, I don't know. He thinks he's better than everybody. Ain't nobody in this world. We put our pants on the same way, you know. He always talking about how busy he is. He's not too busy now, so he's just, I don't know. I shouldn't even talk about him. I get high blood pressure.
What about Undertaker? You're saying Undertaker?
And then he did the same thing, lying, saying Buzz took his money and ran. Buzz stretched him, and he ran. If anybody knew Buzz, they knew exactly what happened. I liked all these interviews is always made after 2009 or 1992. That's when he died. So I don't know. It just irks my ass when people are talking about dead people. They can't come back and do an interview or talk about it, you know. So I gotta grab the bag and be the idiot. But it don't bother me a bit. I know exactly what went on, and Undertaker ought to be glad he wouldn't have made none of that money if Buzz would have broke his neck. I can tell you that. You know, everybody just because he was a superstar in WWE and all that. That's just because he kissed ass all the time. That's just my opinion. I did wrestling for 35 years, and I heard so many guys like Billy Jack Haynes. I trained him and broke him into business, and he started knocking the business and knocking Vince about giving people drugs and stuff. I don't really see eye to eye with Vince, but he gives all these guys opportunities. You got to give him a break. I mean, shit. Hell, I heard he had 20 lawyers. I mean, people like that you don't mess with. I mean, that's just stupid.
So what's the true story with Undertaker? What
well,
happened?
he said Buzz ripped him off for $3,500, and that's all bullshit, man. He only put $2,000 down, and Buzz stretched him, and he never came back to the wrestling school. Is what happened. So I'd love to get on here with him and see him tell me eye to eye. I'll tell you that.
So he wanted no part of Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer.
Right.
So why the story? Like, why do you think like all that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And why talk about a dead person? You know what I'm saying? If he was going to say something, he should have said it when he was alive. That's just my opinion.
So you mentioned training under Buzz and Ricky Steamboat, which is an interesting combination. What was it like though, training? Because you said like he'll stretch you and he'll make you throw up and stuff. So what was it like training under him?
It was good. I mean, to go to a wrestling school, a lot of guys. I've trained thousands of guys, and if you don't want it, you're not going to get it. So you got to get in there and come up with your own gimmick. Don't use somebody else's gimmick like a lot of guys do. And you can't be 5 or 10 Mr. Wrestling 2s and people like Billy Jack Haynes that made good money in pro wrestling, and he went to WWE and had a good little run. But when you got a big head and they give you an opportunity, that's your choice to either chop your head off or get over like $1 million. Either one of the two ways, you're going to come out a winner. So I just think Vince does more for these guys than they really expect, or they don't know what he's going through. He does a lot for people. He's gotten all these guys into the movies and entertainment. And in the NWA days, there was none of that shit. I mean, you just go from town to town and drink some beer and just be happy. But things change, when you get a big break in WWE, you get a big head. So sometimes it's good for somebody to smack you down like my brother did me and wake you up, and don't walk around being cocky all the time, because it'll get you nowhere. And there's two things you want to remember in pro wrestling. They got an eraser and they got a pencil. So it's all politics. It's who you know. It's not you can bring somebody that can't wrestle a lick, and like Hogan, he got over because the pen was behind him. If you got a pencil behind you 24/7, you ain't got nothing to worry about it. While the promoter's pushing you and you're making money. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, true. So was there ever any doubt that you were going to be a wrestler because of your brother? Like it was all automatic?
Well, I went to Portland, Oregon, and I went as Hacksaw Sawyer. I didn't tell people I was Buzz's brother because I didn't want people to think I hung on his coattail. So I did go to Oregon and wrestled Flair for 5 years in and out, and ran Andre the Giant around for 5 years, and stayed there 6. And then when I came back to Atlanta, I turned my brother babyface, and then we toured for a couple years, and then went to Japan and back and forth, and then he died. So that was a big halt in my life.
Going back to Pacific Northwest, what was the territory like? Like, what was Don Owen like? What was the feel? Because, like you said, you were there for about 6 years.
Yeah, Don Owens to me was the greatest guy in the world, best promoter by far, one of the most honest men I ever met in my life. I don't have one bad thing to say about him. He was dynamite, and he was just one hell of a guy that somebody could never forget. And his brother Elton too. They both were great guys. Yeah, they did me a lot of favors.
What made him such a good promoter?
He just gave everybody a break. He don't go on certain names, and I mean, he did for the big names like Andre and Flair. He always made sure he brought them in once a year, and he was just honest. And a lot of promoters aren't honest, but you can't tell them that when they're paying you.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think about the territory just in general, like the traveling and everything?
I loved it, to be honest with you. Well, it was great because you don't ever go. The first you would go would be Washington, D.C. or Washington. And, I mean, that was only about a 5-hour ride. Everything else was about 3 hours, 4 hours away. I mean, it was great. Yeah, little territories, TV once a week. He ran a hell of a show. I reckon he took over in 59, somebody told me. 1959, he took from his brother or something. And he made a lot of money. I can tell you that, for years and years. Yeah.
How was the pay? How was that over there?
Oh, he paid great. I mean, I was making good money. I mean, like nights with Flair, he paid me $1,500, $2,000, depending on the crowd. But I didn't tell the guys what I made because he told me not to. So I didn't. They were jealous anyway, especially the Rock's dad, Rocky Johnson. He's a nice guy, Rocky, but he was always trying to get me to eat Valium and to calm me down. And yeah, it was crazy. He did help me a lot too, so I can't really, I can only say good things about Rocky. He was a great guy. Mm-hmm. We tagged for about 1.5 years. We traveled a lot together. Yeah, he was funny. Yeah. Piper was funny too. Great. He predicted he would die at 61, and he did. That's crazy. So,
wow.
He was really over in Oregon. I think he was over more than anybody. Hogan, Flair, Andre. Yeah, Hogan, or what's his name? I just said. Yeah, he was over like $1 million. Roddy Piper. Yeah, he was big.
Pretty deep, you know. He said he was going to die at a certain age, and
and he died at 61. That's crazy. He pronounced it on TV one day, and it was just weird. A couple years before he died. Yeah, reminded me of Leonard Skinner when he died. He said he died before he was 32, and he did at 32. So
what was Piper like? Was he crazy?
Super nice guy. He was a little crazy like Buzz. I spilled some beer in his car, and he'd rented a car, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it, Hack." He grabbed his beer and opened it, and he poured it all over the dash to make me feel comfortable. And he's like, "It's a rent a car, F it." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So he was crazy. Yeah, he was one of a kind. Piper and Buzz, they only made one of them. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like his territory, you know, that Portland
area. He was God. Yeah, he was God big time. He was a great guy too. Really, yeah, he was emotional, and he was really, he's believed in God and all that good stuff. He's a good guy. Yeah, we had some good times together in Oregon.
Why did he think I'm going to be dead at 61? It's just too much partying. He knew that he only had certain time to live.
Oh, he was a partier, as we all was back then. I mean, doing coke was no big thing in 1981. That was, wow, a lot of that. But you grow up, get down the road. Yeah. It is what it is. You can't look back. You got to look forward and be proud of everything you ever did.
What about Nate, the Nature Boy? You said you wrestled him a lot, and
Oh
obviously
yeah, a lot.
the
Yeah,
NWA
Flair,
champion would come in, and
he
you'd
got
have a bunch of guys from territory wrestling.
yeah, and Flair was Flair. He liked people. If he didn't like you, you knew it. And me and him got along pretty good, but he was a little cocky. But we're all cocky at times, I reckon. Uh, Especially when somebody's trying to back you up in a corner. But I remember watching him pay $1,000, $2,000 just to keep a bar open 2 hours. It was crazy. Go to West Virginia and keep those bars open all night long. Yeah, that's different times. I ain't had a drink in 30 years. Yeah.
With Nate and him coming in, he'd basically take over the territory. It'd be, literally inside the ring and outside the ring, it seems like.
Yeah, sure would be. It was pandemonium everywhere. They sold that sportatorium out so much all the time. Oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah, Frank Bonham was the commentator back then. That's in the eight. I got there in 1980. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you think about working Flair? Him being such a good worker and legendary champion, and everything else.
Flair.
Yep.
Well, I think he went overboard with some of the women. If you watch that, it's something about late night, or I forget what it was, but it showed Flair getting in trouble, raping the women and shit, and making moves he should have never made. I don't know. And then the IRS was hot on his ass, and I think Vince paid a lot of that off, but I don't know. I think he might still have problems. He had problems with that. Go ahead.
What about him in ring though? Like when you were wrestling him, what did you think about him?
Great guy, hell of an athlete, a phenomenal NWA superstar, and he was. I mean, he backed up what he said he could do. I mean, we did our Broadways together, and that's time limit draw, and shit, he loved it, and so did I. So we had some good matches for sure. There's a bunch of them on YouTube. I'd seen them yesterday. It was like 47 of them. I couldn't believe so many of them.
Was that like the staple, the 60-minute time limit draw for the NWA champion?
Uh-huh. Yeah. And when we went to, like in Oregon, you'd do 2 out of 3, and you'd do the first match, go at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then you come back the second one, then the third one. I got used to that too much, that's for sure. Yeah, 2 out of 3s, that was different.
Definitely different than nowadays, for sure. You rarely see it. I just don't want that long, but you rarely see the 60-minute time limit draw.
You rarely see a 60-minute match. Back then, you seen it all the time. Nowadays, you can watch WWE in an hour show. You might see 15 minutes of wrestling. That's crazy. Like a soap opera, Johnny Carson show. Yeah.
Do you watch a lot of current wrestling?
Nah, I don't watch it at all. Be honest with you.
Just because it's totally different than what it was, or you just?
Oh yeah, it's so much different. It's not even comparison. I don't even understand it after 35 years of wrestling. I understand it, but I like all the people I run into tell me, "Oh, we don't like that, Brett. We don't like." I'm like, I don't either. I don't watch it either. So it is what it is. You got to move on in life, because I've lost 3/4 of my family, and life's short.
Do you think that the current wrestling is just so completely different than what the wrestling you grew up in? Like, you think it's just completely changed that much?
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Go back and look at it. I mean, it speaks for itself.
Why though? Why the change, you think?
I think it was a change for the bad. I mean, what they're doing now, like Roddy Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes, his little brother, or Dusty's sons, those territories they're opening up, and they got backers, and they're losing their ass. I don't see how they can make all that money. I don't know. And they can't even tell a story because it changes every other month. And when you're telling a story, you got to be, I mean, the way I was taught, you do it back to back. I mean, until the people get tired of it. So we did 2 years with the Road Warriors. Boy, that was a pain in the ass. They're stiff as hell. Yeah.
Yes, it's Georgia Championship Wrestling, the Road Warriors against the Sawyer brothers. Big time feud down there for a while. Like you said, 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
You said not fun?
No. They broke my wrist, my rib, everything. They were stiff, boy. Oh, man. It was rough. Yeah. Oh, well. Buzz was stiff, too, so he was stiffer than both of them. So it sort of evened out. They were good guys, though. Huh?
Inexperience on their part?
No, because we were training them on the side for Ole Anderson, and he was having all the guys come down there and train them because they wasn't properly trained. That's for sure. So Ole Anderson, he personally made sure they were trained right, and he got a hold of Buzz, me, and some other guys, and we just alternated.
And it got a little tough though, as far as the injuries and a little stiff or snug.
Snug as hell. Too snug for me. I'm a believer in you can't see it, so you can't feel it. So be as loose as you can. I don't like that stiff shit. Yeah. But I deal with it. I don't complain because it's not ballet. That's what a lot of these guys are complaining, like Billy Jack Haynes, want to make a living off the business and then knock everybody it's promoting him in it. And like the guy that owns WWE. And I mean, it's just crazy that he's going to tell him that he's got him on drugs when he's telling that Vince McMahon sent people drugs to their motel rooms. This is Billy Jack Haynes. And I was like, he's crazy. Vince McMahon would never send drugs to no damn hotel room. That's the biggest line of bullshit I ever heard in my life. He don't get the boy drugs and stuff. That's just Billy Jack Haynes trying to get a lawsuit. And he's looked like an idiot doing it. You can't go get Vince has got more money than God. I mean, he don't need somebody like that. He's just a fly. Yeah, Billy, the business was good to him, and then he turned against it. So, he's always got a hard on for pro wrestling. It's something bad. I don't know, because he wasn't like that when I trained him. I can tell you that. He was mellow and humble as hell. He was giving away steroids left and right. Yeah, and then he's telling us, Vince is supplying all this. No, Vince don't supply drugs. I'm here to tell you. And I don't really get along with him, but I ain't going to lie about it to him. And that's what Billy Jack Haynes does, thinking he's going to get rich or something. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, he's doing too many steroids.
He did once say that he was Vince McMahon. He once said he was Vince McMahon's brother, too.
What?
Yep.
He said he was Vince McMahon. I believe it. Oh, yeah, that's crazy. Why? How did he think he'd get away with that?
I have no idea. It was kind of a crazy statement.
That's crazy. Wow. This world's crazy. I'm hoping it's going to turn normal in 2022. Think for the best.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah, all these corona and oh my God, it's crazy.
So with Billy Jack, was that you trained him over in Portland?
Yeah, sure did. Yeah,
he became a huge star over there.
And then, he grew up there, and then his dad he died when I think he was 70 years old. Billy he was a nice as could be guy. I mean, I never heard him complain about the business, but man, some of the interviews I seen, oh my God, it was hard to watch for sure. To hear all those lies, that was the hardest thing. Because Vince McMahon, I just don't imagine. I can never see him sending drugs to nobody. That's for sure. Why would he? And send them to the whole team? That's crazy. He couldn't get away with that shit. They'd have been on his ass. Nah, man, my brother went there, didn't stay 6 months, beat the shit out of Vince. That's one reason I didn't go. Yeah.
What's that story?
He wanted Buzz to do a job, and he didn't want to do it. And they got in a fight.
Oh, that'll end that pretty quickly.
Yeah. That cut my corners real quick. Yeah.
So no wonder you never worked there.
Yeah, never.
Do you remember who they wanted him to job to?
No, I don't. I just remember it was overdoing a job. Then I remember the next time he got his ass whipped was from Bret Hart. So it was when his brother passed away. Vince kept rolling the damn TV, and he sort of thought Vince had something to do with it. And it looked awful fishy because he lowered him 3 different times. And when they practiced it, they only did it once. So you got to sit there and think, is he telling the truth or what's really going on here? I think Vince is honest, but, you know, I could be wrong. I know he's a bully, but it is what it is. You can't knock Vince and make any money, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Big money.
Going back to Pacific Northwest for a second, I know you also team with Dr. Tom Pritchard over there. What do you think about Dr. Tom?
Oh, great guy, man. He's one of my best friends. Yeah, we were great. We never had a problem. Yeah, Tom was a great guy. So's his brother, Bruce.
Talk to Dr. Tom all the time. I know
do you really?
Yeah,
and
I know
you should tell him I said hi. Give me a call.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah. My number is 214-861-0965. Yeah, Tom Pritchard, super guy, man. We had a blast.
I know he loved that territory.
Oh, we both loved it, man. Yeah, we tagged for a while. I think we tagged for a couple of years. Then I tagged with Marty Jannetty for a while. He's funny. He's crazy.
What do you think about teaming with him? Jeez, I didn't realize that was what a team.
Yeah, we did it. I was in Kentucky. Yeah, I had an experience a couple of years ago in Kentucky doing 120. I won't get into that. Yeah, Kentucky. I don't like Kentucky.
What about Jannetty, though? What about Marty?
Oh, that's how I think that's where we was wrestling in Kentucky. I'm pretty sure it was. But yeah, we had a blast. We did it in Oregon for a couple of years. I'm pretty sure. I know we did, and then I was with Marty. Maybe it was Marty I was with. Yeah, Marty Jannetty. Yeah, I've seen him on that other guy that does interviews, and he's crazy. He ain't changed a lick. That's funny. I lost my wife in 2016 after being married 30 big years. But cancer. Had triple negative breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
3.5 years, that shit. Then it killed her. Crazy.
Wow, sorry. Man, it's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
But you just, lighten the mood watching those Jannetty interviews where he's talking about God knows what.
Yeah. Marty, he was always funny as hell.
Did you see the one where he said he killed somebody and then he took it back?
Oh, no, he got in trouble for that, didn't he?
Yes.
Did they arrest him?
I don't know if he was arrested, but I think he was questioned about it.
That's
it seemed odd that he admitted to killing somebody. Yeah.
I'm telling me, oh my God. He's crazy. Unreal. So I didn't know he admitted to killing somebody. Wow.
He said he was like a young kid or something. He killed him behind a bowling alley, but then he took it back. He said it was a storyline. Like, I didn't get it.
I don't get it. That's funny. Marty, he's a great guy.
So
him and Pritchard, there's two of my always, yeah. I wasn't far from it, but yeah, I've had enough concussions, that's for sure.
So how was Dr. Tom? Was he a big party guy?
Not really. He's really laid back, to be honest with you. He was Tom you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's having problems with his wife then. And I think he was going through a divorce. I'm pretty sure he was. And I was single. I don't know. I was a little wild, I reckon. Yeah, but things change. So I enjoyed life. It's always been good to me. Yeah.
What did you think, just in general, of the territory, like with your brother, without your brother, in certain territories? Was it easier for you? Did you like kind of being on your own, or did you prefer having your brother?
Like being on my own. I'll be honest with you. I hate to say this, but I really like being on my own. But I proved it. And I proved myself. I know after 6 years, I had to have. And I enjoyed tagging with my brother. I knew it would be times short, but I didn't think it'd be that short. It's hard to lose. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
But you like to be a single guy, like on your own. You kind of prefer that because you're standing on your own 2 feet?
No, I gotta have a partner, that's for sure. It's different. Yeah.
So you worked like every territory. You worked everywhere. Like you worked Pacific Northwest. We talked about Georgia. You worked Mid-South for Bill Watts. What was it like working for Bill Watts?
I hate to say it. He's the biggest prick in the world.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, yeah, he screwed me big time. Me and Buzz, we tagged, right, and I got a $1,500 check, and my brother got a $3,000 check. And for one night, it was a sold out play. Man, that Bill Watts, he pissed me off, and he's like, "Oh, we got to give a 2-week notice." I said, "I ain't giving you shit." And I said, "Oh man, I was hot." I said, "What makes it?" I says, "We did the same thing." He was just being a dick, thinking I was a rookie or something. I was far from a rookie, that's for sure.
What did you think of just that in general? Just like that? That's just what he did to people. They just
he did. He did. Everybody was always complaining about him. I even questioned a few guys. I was like, "Well, he's going to help you." Like I'm not being contradicting myself, but he was a prick. I mean, I couldn't work like that. I didn't see that $1,500 difference. That's crazy. You got it. When you're in pro wrestling, if you don't walk out for that, next time they'll be sticking it up your, where. So my brother taught me well, I have to say. Yeah. But he followed me 2 weeks after that.
Was Watts known for that? Known for?
Oh, yeah, he was known for that. I asked anybody that worked for him. Anybody that was there when I was, he was a prick. Yeah, I've heard guys tell me how nice he was. The other guy I did interviews. He was telling me, "Oh man, he's a great guy." I was like, "Well, he wasn't a great guy to me." Yeah, And I know I wasn't the only one, so that's the only reason it didn't make me feel too bad. But I didn't want to work for him another day. You go if you don't. I was taught if you don't stand up to a promoter, you never will, and you got to do what they ask you. And that's how I got the name the Bubblegum Kid. I was getting over as Brett Wayne, and then Dusty didn't like that because he had a hard on for me because me and Steve Kern trained his son and Dustin, and he didn't want him to play pro wrestling. He wanted him to play pro football, and he couldn't make the grades. And so he came to me and Steve Kern and asked us if we would train him, and we said, yeah. And his dad was always mad at me, so he gave me the name the Bubblegum Kid, and he gave me a bucket of bubblegum. This was all because he was pissed. And I made sure it got over, so I gave all the kids it, and I started walking in the crowd and handing it to them and shit. And it got over, so it sort of pissed him off, I reckon. But he did it just because I trained his son. I know he did, but I don't think he'd admit to it if he was living, because he was a great guy. He helped me a lot in Florida, because that's where I spent 50 years. Besides, I was born in West Virginia. That's where I'm at now. But, yeah, I enjoyed it. Life has been good to me, no matter any way I look at it. And I got a beautiful woman and very happy.
So you trained Dustin. You said you trained Billy Jack Haynes. Who else have you trained?
Eric Henry. He was from Mad Dog's Palace. That's my school in Florida. I trained Tommy Rogers, one of the Fantastics. That was my best friend growing up. He was making $200 in Florida, and I got him a job in Oregon. And he came out there, and I trained him in an apartment on a bed. And then we'd go to the ring on Sundays and go over everything. And then I trained Tommy there in Oregon. But I've trained, I helped my brother train Terry, what's his Dusty's old sidekick. But he wrecked a Porsche.
Terry Allen, Magnum TA.
Terry Allen, yeah. Me and Buzz, yeah, trained him too. Yeah,
trained a lot of good damn talent there.
I sent a lot of guys to Puerto Rico. Some of them stayed over there. At Eric Emery, he was back and forth. He's getting ready to give him a big contract in WCW, and he ended up ODing on damn steroids. People are stupid. I'll tell you, if you dumb enough to use it like I was in the 80s, and you're dumb enough to pay the penalties, because you're gonna run into somewhere. I can tell you that through life.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how do you become a good trainer, though? Like, hey, that's just natural.
I love doing it in Florida. My brother opened up a school in Sacramento, California, and I'd had one open in Atlanta. And I was flying back and forth and training my guys. And then Valentine would come and help me, Greg Valentine. And then he'd train the guys in Florida while I was in California. And yeah, I've been training them 30 some years. I like it. It's easy. It's if you really want it, there's a ring. You should be able to make it, because if you got a good trainer, they'll have you in there less than 6 months. You can tell in a month who really wants it and who don't. And sometimes you got to tell them they're wasting their money. And that's hard to do, but you got to, because if it comes back and bites you in the ass, then it's all on you. So you got to try your best to train them and make sure they really want it, because you can't want it for them. I was taught that the hard way. These
So
guys,
you're not one of those trainers that will just take the guy's money.
nothing like that. No, I'm one of the down to earth guys, 1-on-1 for an hour, 2 hours, whatever you want. They got the stamina. I'm ready to go. Because that's what you need to be a good wrestler. If you don't have endurance, you're screwed. I can tell you. Yeah, there's a few guys that got over that couldn't whiz-erk. And this, a lot of them are on top, believe it or not. Hey, if you can do it without going through all the high spots and all the gimmicks, go for it. Yeah. And if the people pays your bills, that's the way you should look at it.
Do you think there's too many wrestling schools nowadays? It seems like there's
Oh,
too many.
God, there's so many. Let me tell you, when I went to Texas, they had amateur wrestling match trying to do pro wrestling, which is unheard of. There's no way in hell you can teach somebody that on mats, even though I tried once. It's just impossible. It's unheard of. And I mean, it's like Tim Brooks died a couple years ago. He's a good friend of me and Buzz's. And he trained guys, and he threw them in sand, and he trained them in sand, and it was crazy. I just seen some of the craziest schools I ever seen. You put up a wrestling ring and throw somebody in there with some knowledge, you're going to have a good time. But you can't train people in sand, and you can't train people on an amateur wrestling mat. Unheard of. Can't do it.
Weird,
you might see them.
They can get away with that. It's weird.
Oh, yeah, it is weird because I usually got to pay $1,000 just to sign up for the school. You know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy. Yeah. But people's got to be aware. If you don't see somebody that ever made anything in pro wrestling, well, shit, what are you going to think they're going to do for you? You know, I enjoy training people.
Yeah, I always think that. Like some of the schools, like who's this guy running the school? Never heard of him.
And nobody's ever heard of him. I busted my ass in pro wrestling. I mean, I started at 17. I put 35 years in. I wish I had a 401k.
Right.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm paying for it now.
So I know you work, millions of territories. You were saying you work like every territory. Maybe what about Southwest?
You're a smart guy. I can tell you that. Do what now?
Southwest, Joe Blanchard. What about that territory?
I worked for him only for a couple months because me and Buzz was leaving. But I didn't get to know him real good. But from what I got, he was a great guy. From my vibes, I mean, yeah. The short time I was around him.
How do you move from like each territory to territory? Is this the promoters contacting? You're contacting the promotions? Like
little of both.
You're going everywhere.
Both. Yeah, I learned the hard way. If you can't book yourself, you got problems. And I'd always book myself. And like when I walked out on Bill Watts, that was an instant go kiss my ass. But it just really irked my boy. It hit me wrong. He wanted me to give a 2-week notice, and my brother's like, I'm not even going to ask you. I was like, I said, I'm out of here. And then he followed me 2 weeks later, but he hung around another 2 weeks. I was hoping he'd follow me then, but he didn't. But I didn't care. I was pissed. Yeah. He said, it must have been an accident. It wasn't no accident. Yeah, he knew what he was doing. He thought I was green.
Yep.
7, 8 years, you still pay your dues. Yeah.
So you kind of will just realize, okay, you got to be able to book yourself elsewhere. Not burning the bridge, but he kind of screwed you, so screw him. Like move.
Yeah, because it was so many territories, there's 40 of them, and I could get booked in all of them, so I didn't have a problem staying busy. Yeah, and I always did them good. If they screwed me, well, I walked out. So that's just the way it was. Mm-hmm.
you also worked for JCP, right? The Mid Atlantic for a little bit.
Yeah,
Jim Crockett.
Yeah, Crockett Promotion. That's I trained there at Crockett's. That's where I trained at. Uh-huh. Yeah, Crockett's Promotion. I love the Crockett's. Yeah, they were great people. Uh-huh.
What do you think about that territory? Because I mean, that's a completely different territory, smaller, right?
Yeah,
But
that
made,
was a
made more money.
little. See, I got trained there. I stayed there. It was different, yeah. And the Crockett's were always good to me. I trained in their ring. Um, I can't thank them enough, to be honest with you. Yeah, they was good people. I don't got nothing to say about the Crockett's. They was very family oriented. And then by that time, I was married and had a kid. Yeah, 2 of them, and that was it.
And you guys did an angle with the Midnight Express, right?
Yeah, sure did. I'm just saying, I don't like the way they talk about people on these shows, but that's the way they get over, I reckon.
You mean Cornette?
Yeah, he's got a mouth that boy. He's so full of shit, his breath stinks. He's something, man. He just don't stop. He was like that in the 80s. Oh, my God. He got on my nerves. And I just watch him on a video. Just the way he knocks people, it's just funny as hell. He's so dorky. Oh, God.
He used to cause some riots back in the day.
Oh, he turned into a hell of a manager. I have to give him credit because, yeah, he came a long ways. I watched it. He sure did. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you also wrestled in Florida. Tag team partner was Jimmy Backlund, right? Jimmy Del Rey.
Jimmy Backlund and Steve Kern. Yeah. Uh-huh. Me and Kern, he had a wrestling school in Tampa, and I had one in St. Pete. So we became good. If he got guys in St. Pete, he'd call me, and if I got guys in Tampa, I'd call him. So we would work it out with each other instead of stabbing each other in the back. We took care of each other. Yeah.
What was Jimmy Backlund like? I heard he's a bit of a party
Great guy. Yeah, he was a party animal. He was single, so he could mingle. I'd always go home. He told me I was pussy whipped. I was like, oh, well, it is what it is.
So did you ever have a chance to – I know you wrestled a little bit for WCW, but did you ever have a chance to go there like full time?
Nah, never wanted to because too many changes there, WCW, and a lot of guys with little secret knives in their hand, backstabbers. Yeah, it was I went in and out. That was it. I loved Oregon better. That's why I stayed there longer. And I just didn't like what was going on. There's always a clique. It don't matter who you are. Either you got to try to get along with them or you don't. One of the two. So I always tried to get along with them. So,
Did you ever go back to Japan after that?
No, I sure didn't. I hadn't been to Japan since 2006.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, many years.
Did you wrestle for the Wing promotion when you were out there in Japan in the 90s?
The Wing promotion? There was a couple of promotions. I don't know what was what, but I know it was New Japan. And that's who it had to be in Japan because I think there's only one other wrestling alliance over there. And it's with a bunch of marks, green people. Yeah. So
as we hit the wind down, head towards the finish, what was your favorite territory? I mean, man, we went through a whole gauntlet here: Mid-South, Georgia. We didn't even mention Memphis. You made a quick cup of coffee. PNW,
Yeah.
JCP, Central States, Southwest. I mean, you
Bahamas.
wrestled everywhere.
We went to the Bahamas, Korea, all over. Yeah, Belize. Just I can't remember half of it, but it's been a good ride, that's for sure.
What was your favorite territory?
Portland, Oregon, hands down. Yeah, for sure. Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
As far as like,
I just no, go ahead.
No, I didn't want to cut you off. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just like Portland. They was always good to me. Always put me on top. Always gave me main events. They throw a few semis in there, but mid. But Don Owens, he was great to me for sure. And I went to his house, and he told me he never took a wrestler to his house except Dutch Savage, and I was like, oh, I appreciate it. And he always took care of me, man. He was a great guy. Mm-hmm.
Great territory out there. A lot of great talent.
Oh, man. It was a gold mine. Damn. And it was there for so many years, but I don't think it's there now.
Nope.
Because they built a restaurant or something there, I think. I'm pretty sure they did, because I went out to do autographs in 2014. And they had it's a church.
Wow.
Church. Yeah. So
looking back, do you have some favorite matches or some favorite opponents that you've had throughout your career?
Yeah. Andre the Giant was one of a kind, nicest guy in the world. He'd always throw me a couple $100. I mean, 2 $100 bills back then, just to give a guy a ride where you're going anyway. He wouldn't let you. He couldn't tell him to keep it, because he just made sure you were taken care of. And he'd hold a beer where most people, you can see it. With him, you couldn't see it. And he'd drink that vodka like water. And he just, I think, was one of the nicest guys in pro wrestling. He's probably one of the biggest and baddest in pro wrestling, but he wasn't like that. He was a very humble, diplomatic, charisma type of guy. I mean, he was always looking out for you and always just trying to make people happy. And he was a good guy, man. Died at 44. His brain, the bones grew through his brains. And the guy was a Florida, the guy that cleaned his farm and stayed there with him. He used to work in Florida as a referee. And Andre just gave him all that property and all that land, and he's happy ever after. That's the way Andre was. I mean, everybody was surprised when he gave it to the referee, and I wasn't a bit. He always told me how much he liked the kid and stuff, so I knew he liked him. Yeah. I was shocked he left everything. Yeah, he left him everything. I couldn't believe it. But that's the way Andre was, for sure.
So do you have any regrets in the wrestling business looking back?
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I'd have got in pro baseball, but I can't change that now. So I just could have changed it, but I didn't. And I should have came an actor, and I didn't. So I put all the blame on myself.
Were you good enough at baseball to become pro?
Oh, yeah. I was a catcher all my life. Yep.
You just decided to do wrestling instead?
Well, I was painting out on the beach, and my brother pulled up in a Trans Am, and a glove compartment filled with $100 bills. And he said, "Come on, we're going to Knoxville." And I left that work site, didn't go home, drove all the way to Knoxville, got clothes and everything else, got a car, and then I started being a referee and training in the gym. And then I started going to Crockett's Promotions. That's where I trained. And the rest was history. I didn't turn back. until I left Oregon after 6 years.
What do you think if like fans look back, or they're looking at the stamp or the legacy of not only Brett Sawyer but Buzz Sawyer and like the Mad Dog and the Hacksaw? Like, what's the legacy of you guys?
Well, we like to entertain people, and we loved our fans. And my brother, he loved them too. And it just was a high that you can't buy, and it was all natural, and just it was great. And it's a feeling with you got 90,000, 80, 60, 50,000 people yelling your name. It's unbelievable. It's a adrenaline rush that you can't replace. And you got to thank your fans for that. So I do. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. All right, Mr. Sawyer, I'd like to thank you so much for all the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.